I can't believe we're already 1 month into the new year. Time is flying. It is the perfect time to make sure that we reset, reflect, and recharge, and also plan for the month ahead. And so, in this planning series, I want to talk about the ways in which I've started to plan that have allowed more ease and less anxiety in the way that I now plan. And so, planning ahead isn't just about filling a to do list with a bunch of tasks, but it's about making sure that we're planning with intention so that we're actually reducing anxiety and allowing our days, weeks, and the month to flow more smoothly. So when we take the guesswork out of our daily routines, it allows for us to save energy for what truly matters. And that's getting things done, being productive, while still making space for family, for hobbies, for rest, for self care. Um, in society, we have this unhealthy work life balance, and I too was one of the people who had that unhealthy work life balance. But we cannot make work and busyness and stress and anxiety our whole lives. We have to find balance. And, ever since I've started to plan with intention, I've seen a major change in my life, especially in my mental state. I remember a time where my to-do list just seemed so daunting and overwhelming that I actually ended up not being productive at all. But then I decided that I was going to take back control of my time, and I started to plan out most of the details of my life, which have been able to add more ease and flow and organization to my chaos. So let's do away with thinking that we have to plan a million things and cram them into our to-do list, but make sure that we are actually planning with intention, making sure that even self-care, non-negotiables, and rest have a place in our schedules. So today, in our Plan With Me session, I want to go through a step-by-step process of me planning out my month with intention. When I do this, this helps me to feel more in control of my time and energy, and I want to share that with you today. So let's get started. So for me, I typically love to use a combination of digital and physical planning tools. In this series, though, I'll be using my digital planner. For years, I've struggled to find a planner that truly fits my needs. And so this planner provides the perfect balance of giving me structure without just feeling overwhelmed by too many things going on at one time in a planner. And it's something that I actually use every day. I usually like to start planning for the upcoming month by actually closing out the prior month with reflection. This allows for me to be able to make any tweaks that I need to make in my current month's plan. So I take time to reflect on the past month by celebrating wins, learning from challenges, and noting any highlights of the month. So here, your 3 achievements, any best experiences, any life lessons learned, a photo of the month. I love to have a visual of something that was the highlight of my month be in my reflection, as well as a monthly rating, just overall, how did that month go? Once I have done that, I then go down to looking at the month in its totality. So in the month of February, I love to look at it from totality and schedule in all major dates. So that's going to be birthdays, travel plans, events, so that I have a clear view of what's ahead. If you see here, I've already pre-filled out some things that will be going on in the month of February for myself, including birthday. I have a friend whose birthday is on the 4th. I have a book club that I host virtually within my Wives Tribe group, and we meet every other week. So I make sure I add that in. A Galentine's Day event, Valentine's Day, making sure that I have things like that. I will be traveling this month. So I want to make sure that I have things that are super important to remember for the entire month planned out ahead of time so that I can see. And so when I'm going into breaking it down into weekly plans, I don't forget some things that may happen later on in the month. And so this just helps me to stay on track with what is going on. The next thing I like to do then, after I have that, is go to my monthly goal setting. And so for the month of February, I have a separate sheet that allows me to fill out the goals for that month. And so here's just an example of a goal that I want to accomplish for the month of February. I first take my goals, my big goals, and I write them in. And then I make sure that I have actionable steps. And with this ensures that I stay on track. So rather than feeling overwhelmed by just one broad big goal, I break them down into steps that I can implement into my weeks. And so that also leads me to the next step in this is to make sure that I use my weekly planner to jot down the habits and milestones that will keep me progressing toward my monthly goals by making sure that I am implementing them into my week and that I'm doing weekly check-ins to make sure I am adjusting as needed and just celebrating small wins. So then that leads me into, after I've written out all of my goals for the month, that leads me into weekly planning. And that will be step 4 in this process is weekly planning. Go back to my home tab and then I can go right down to my weekly planner. And here I've already filled in things. At the top, I've put the week that I am planning for. And I've just jotted down an example of how I would start to plan out that week. And that looks like, as we've seen in my goal setting, something I definitely want to make sure is implemented into my week are those small actionable steps. So for this week, I'll focus on the first one. And as you've seen in the last page, it was to launch an MVP for my business. An MVP is basically like a product that you can get out into the market without actually having to maybe physically mass produce. This is your prototype. This is getting feedback on what it is that you want to produce. And so for me, that is something I want to do for my business. And so with that, I need to make sure that I am breaking it down piece by piece so that I can get to the big goal, which is to launch the MVP. And so with that, market research is very important. So here you'll see Monday, I have to research different products in the market that I am in. I want to research and see how things are performing. And then under that, you'll also see I have guitar. And so that's one of like the non-negotiables that my husband and I have implemented is to make sure that we are doing our guitar lessons Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, just because it is a hobby that we both enjoy and it is a form of self-care and quality time for us both. So I think looking at the monthly view is one thing, but then you want to get a little bit more granular and start to break it down even farther. And so that's where you're going to go and start breaking it down into your weekly milestones and habits. And as I mentioned before, making sure that you're doing weekly check-ins just to see if there's any tweaks that you need to make, and then also to give yourself grace and to make sure that you're celebrating any wins, big or small. When I've done this has really helped in my planning because it's kept me motivated and also disciplined. The 5th step in planning out the month with the most ease and flow that's really reduced my anxiety is monthly, weekly, and then now daily. So I like to plan the night before so that I wake up with clear direction for my day. And so here I'll go back to the home tab, go down to daily planner. And here you'll see I have an example already pre-filled in of kind of how I do this. So I first always start my scheduling with my non-negotiables first. And I usually do this in a different color than everything else. And so my non-negotiables are things that fill my cup mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I treat these like standing appointments because I've realized that prioritizing what truly matters, like family and health, makes everything else flow better and creates the balance and fulfillment that I need in my life. And so I put those in here in pink. You'll see prayer, yoga, Bible study. These are the things that I'm doing when I first wake up to fill me up spiritually, mentally, just get me ready for the day and get my body ready for the day too. I stretch out my kinks from the night before, and this is what I do to kind of get me ready, grounded, and ready to attack the day. Then I break it up by making sure that I'm implementing breaks in my day. And so one of my things that is a non-negotiable is making sure that I'm getting sunlight, that I am walking my dog so that they're getting exercise, and it's also exercise for me as well. So walking my dogs midday just allows for a break and for me to achieve all the other things that I just mentioned. And then I'll have another non-negotiable is at the end of my day, just making sure that I am cooking dinner. I enjoy making meals, so cooking dinner with or for my husband and my family. And then also just having quality time, eating a meal, and having a conversation with my husband. That is something that we're just like, this is a non-negotiable for us. You know, we're already busy throughout the day doing our own things. This is a time for us to reconnect at the end of the day. And then again, a non-negotiable, like I mentioned, was a hobby that we both really have enjoyed and love doing, and it allows us to spend quality time, is guitar. So we usually go into that after dinner is done, kitchen is clean, and we're upstairs in our like loft library area. And this is a time for us to pick up the guitar, learn a new song, you know, just really get into it. And then ending the night out with a good stretch. Again, as you've been working, you maybe sitting or standing all day, just stretching out, and then going into a nighttime routine are some of the things that in this season of my life are like my non-negotiables. And these can change, but the whole point is to make sure that they are added in first into your schedule. And then you fill in things around. So that is going to be step 6, is after you have put in your non-negotiables, they're then filling in the rest of the schedule with everything else. And when I do this, I also make sure to fill in with my high priority tasks at the points of the day when I have the most energy, and that's usually earlier in the day. So that's why I have my focus work being more so like from 1 to 5. This is a time where I can just say, you know, no distractions. I'm going in and I am focusing on my work at hand today. And I usually can, you know, punch out a bunch of different things when I do it this way. I also make sure that I have a mix of high and low effort tasks. I don't want to jam pack my day with things that are just going to exert so much energy for me. So I make sure that I have a mix throughout the day. And then I also make sure that I don't cram it with too many tasks at the same time. So I just want to make sure I have a good balance of high and low effort tasks, making sure that I am prioritizing the things that need to be done first in the day and then leaving the rest for later. I repeat this weekly and daily planning throughout the month, and I make tweaks as needed. This is what allows the most stress-free and the most clarity and just ease in my scheduling. And this method is really the most stress-free method I've used thus far. So just to recap on the flow of planning, I like to start with a full view, making sure that I'm adding in the key dates and that I'm setting goals for the month with action steps. And that I'm also implementing these into the weekly schedule. In addition, I also want to make sure that I'm prioritizing my non-negotiables. If you take these things into consideration and add these into your planning as you plan ahead, watch how much lighter you feel when you're planning and how much more you're actually able to accomplish while still feeling balanced and fulfilled. I want us all to just take control of our time. We are in control, remember that, and see that productivity and balance go hand in hand. In the description, I've linked 2 freebies to help you plan more effectively, plus a link to purchase this digital planner if you need a full system with trackers, monthly, weekly, and daily planners. All links are below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already yet, hit the subscribe button to join the tribe and be sure to like and share. And in the comment section below, let me know what are some of the tips that really resonated with you and that you feel like you will implement into your planning. I would love to hear feedback and see if it's really changed anything in the way that you plan and it helps ease any anxiety and stress you may feel from planning. As always, until next time, peace and love to you all.